My dear friends, we arrive at the fifth and final element of our framework for critique: humility. Now I realize this is not the most glamorous element of our framework. Of the other elements, language sounds intellectual, standards sound authoritative, knowledge sounds impressive, practice sounds productive, while humility sounds rather like being assigned to wash dishes after the banquet. And yet it may be the most important element of all, because no matter how much experience we possess, no matter how many books we have read, no matter how many photographs we have made, there remains one fact that should accompany every critique we offer. We were not there when the shutter clicked. We did not stand in that wind. We did not see what happened 5 seconds before the frame was made. We do not know what obstacles the photographer faced, and we certainly do not know everything they were trying to accomplish. Years ago, I recall examining a photograph that seemed, at first glance, rather flawed. The horizon appeared crooked. The composition felt awkward. The subject seemed oddly placed. Confidently, I began constructing a list of improvements. Then I learned the circumstances. The photographer had been standing on the deck of a moving boat. The horizon was tilted because the boat itself was tilting. The unusual composition preserved a critical relationship between subjects that would have been lost had the frame been cropped. And the placement that I thought accidental was in fact deliberate. In less than 5 minutes, I transformed from expert critic to cautionary tale. The photograph had not changed, only my understanding had. That is humility. Humility reminds us that our first interpretation is not always the correct one. It encourages us to ask questions before making declarations. Instead of saying, "The horizon is wrong," we might ask, "Was the tilt intentional?" Instead of saying, "You should have done this," we might ask, "What were you hoping the viewer would experience?" Notice what happens when we do this. The conversation becomes collaborative rather than corrective. We stop acting like judges delivering verdicts and start acting like explorers seeking understanding. This leads to another important principle. Our role is not merely to tell artists what we see. Our role is to help them see what they may not yet see themselves. That requires curiosity, it requires patience, and occasionally it requires admitting that we may be mistaken. The best critiques are rarely lectures, they are conversations. A good critic does not stand above the artist. A good critic stands beside the artist, with lantern in hand, not pointing from a distance, not issuing commands from a throne, not announcing final truths from atop Mount Know-It-All. Simply standing nearby, holding a light. Have you noticed this? What do you think about that? I wonder if this strengthens your intention. The lantern does not force a path. It merely helps reveal one. And finally, humility reminds us of something that should be obvious, yet is surprisingly easy to forget. We are all still learning. The beginner is learning. The experienced photographer is learning. The judge is learning. The critic is learning. Even the teacher is learning. The moment we believe we have nothing left to learn is usually the moment we stop seeing clearly. So when you practice your critiques, remember, lead with respect and end with encouragement, while being patient with the process and celebrating the artist's intentions. As you continue your journey as a critic, carry your knowledge proudly, your standards carefully, your language thoughtfully, and your practice consistently. But carry your humility closest of all, because photographs are made by people, and people deserve curiosity, respect, and understanding. That, my dear friends, is how one becomes not merely a critic, but a useful one. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your mind open, and your lantern lit.